Too
Too
much
much stuff to go on here.
Too much stuff to talk about to be lollygagging. We need to get busy.
Exactly. I noticed it doesn't have it has his webcam on there instead of my name. I wonder if I can fix that. I don't know if it's going to let me fix that or not. It may not let me fix that. I better not mess it up anymore. I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up all the way.
Oh my gosh!
My name is webcam for today. How about that?
Yeah, I mean it works. It works.
Hey, I got this far. That's a major victory.
That is a major victory. That is
compared to what the old days used to be. So.
Well, this is the first go, so there's always going to be technical difficulties.
That's right.
I think me and you have had 3 or 4 different live chats, and every single time you have been technology challenged.
Yes. I'm now in the 21st century, though.
That's true. You have made much good progress. I can see you. I can see you clearly. I can hear you clearly. So, I mean, that's a good sign. That is a good sign.
Absolutely.
We'll give everyone a couple minutes to join up and see if.
Wait a minute. There's a place here to edit names. So I'm going to edit my name here.
Okay. Go for it. Get rid of webcam.
To put my name or to put baseball demos? Which one do you want me to put on there?
I would put baseball demos.
Okay.
You never know what kind of people are going to show up for this. Some weirdos out there. You put your name in there, they'll hunt you down or something.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, not at all.
A little bit of anonymity is a good thing sometimes. So.
Yep.
There we go.
Hey, you did it. Oh,
I even fixed it. How about that?
Look at that. I can actually make us full screen.
There's hope for me yet. So
I can just make you just a little guy.
There you go. You can do that if you want. Or maybe whoever's speaking can be larger or something. I don't know. You're the producer, so I'll let you figure it out.
I'm the producer, huh?
Yeah.
We'll give everyone a couple minutes to get the email that we went live. So hopefully.
Okay, so I'm not. Is there a way for me to be able to see the comments?
If you go to my YouTube channel and it should show you that we're live, you can click on that and then it'll.
Oh, I mean, okay, so there's something on this window here, but I guess that says private chat, so that's something different.
Yeah, so I mean, we can.
Oh, I can go into your channel now and check the comments through because I can use I can watch it through my cell phone while I'm doing that. So
yeah, so I mean, I've got all the comments. If someone comments, I can just post them on our screen too. So
yeah. So I'm. Whoops! Let me turn the volume down. Hold on, don't get the echo here. Yeah, I see. I can see it now. So if somebody does comment, I'll be able to see it.
Good. All right. Hopefully, we'll have a couple of people join us and get to discuss.
Which was a really good comment. You can put it on the screen, I guess, but otherwise, you just ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a little while since we actually got to chat. I've switched my YouTube channel from mostly doing sports to mostly doing war games, but I started doing a few sports games here and there. So catch me up. What's Baseball Demo's been up to? I know you just completed a big project. Talk to me.
Major project that took almost 2 years. The 1977 White Sox Stratomatic replay. And I got that done. The stats are I give Strat props. The stats are very, very close for the White Sox. Now, when the computer did it, some of the things were a little skewed, but I try to stay true to how many at-bats the people had. I use exact lineups and that sort of thing. And then I think it was Mike, Utah Mike wanted me to do the playoffs. So I did the playoff team, the ALCS and ALCS based on how the computer simmed everything because the White Sox didn't win their division. Texas and Baltimore did. So I did the ALCS with Texas and Baltimore. And then I had the computer sim the whole National League. And they came out with Philly and LA just like it was in real life. So I played that as played in LCS for real life. Whereas Texas and Baltimore, there was no real life game. So I had to use my own lineups for that.
Right.
And then, of course, Texas and LA advanced to the World Series, and I played that. LA won that in 5 games, and now that has been pushed to the shelf or to the side. I think I'm stratted out for a little while, so I want to move on to something else. I want to get back to the inside pitch Mark Fidrich replay that I kind of put on the shelf for a while to finish the strat. And then also want to eventually get into something with payoff pitch, whether it be a pitcher replay, season replay, something.
And
and right now I'm doing 1975 World Series as well, but in different game engines.
Right, different. Which is kind of interesting because you're doing it in multiple different game engines.
Mm-hmm. History Maker showing you how History Maker handles it, showing you how Replay Baseball handles it, how Inside Pitch handles it, and how Stratomatic handles it. And done 4 games, and now it's back to the beginning, which was History Maker again.
Yeah, and you did that once before, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I like watching and seeing how the different same teams basically playing with a different system and seeing how
and you can also see maybe how different game engines rate their players. Like Inside Pitch may rate Dwight Evans as a better outfielder than Strat, or vice versa. So you can question, like, why is he a 1 in Strat but he's only a 2 in Inside Pitch or something like that? Or only a 4 or whatever. So there's different things to look on that too, just to be interesting how they rate the players.
And how going into this Chicago White Sox replay, how do you think it did compared
to the game engine itself? I think did very fine. I mean, it some of the things were skewed because I didn't use some of their bench players enough, like I probably should have, and I didn't try to steal as much as they did in real life because they're just not a very good base stealing team. And maybe I didn't use the relief pitchers quite. I mean, I guess because of the modern baseball, it got me so used to, relief pitcher can only go 1 inning or whatever. And a lot of those guys back then went 3 and 4 innings. So some of my relief pitchers don't have as many innings pitched as they did in real life, but they have more games played than they did in real life because just the way because I was in a modern managing mode. I didn't manage them maybe necessarily. I didn't let the starters maybe go as long as I should have. Whereas when the Strat PC simmed it, I mean, Jim Palmer had like 350 innings pitched because they just let him do complete game after complete game and a complete game. So,
right.
I mean, but I was happy with the results. I mean, I didn't see anything that was totally out of whack.
So you were happy with the?
I was happy with the total results, despite the 50-50 engine and what people say about that and whatnot. I think over the 162 games, it pretty much leveled out. I mean, there were some times where certain games frustrated me individually because I was like, man, I bring in my best reliever and it's off the batter card 3 times.
Right.
That's just nature of the beast.
Oh, and even though it's a 50-50 engine, it kind of, my philosophy on that. If you've been around my channel, you guys know, that's how the casino makes money on roulette. Is because they think, it's a 50-50 bet. Even though they have the 0 and the 1, it's basically 50-50. But you're going to have black come up like 14 times in a row.
Yep.
So you're going to have your best hitting lineup in there, but it keeps coming off the pitcher card.
Right.
Not much you can do about it. So you go through all this strategy of lefty righty. I'm going to bring in a left-handed pitcher, and it doesn't matter because it comes off the batter card. It's like,
and then part of the game too is that part of the replay is I did part of it in advanced, and then I upped the game to super advanced later on in the replay. So I would have preferred to do the whole replay as one level, but I noticed like for one of my White Sox players, I think it's Lamar Jansen, he had quite a few of those what they call diamond shots on his card, the ballpark home run.
Right.
But if you're doing advanced, you don't check that. It's not a home run. It's not a home run anymore. So he may have lost some home runs because I wasn't playing super advanced. But that's the one guy I can think of that may have had a slight alteration in stats because of that.
Right. Here's RJL. Hey, RJL, I sent you an email. I'm sorry, not an email. I posted a message on one of your channels or one of your videos today about our little live stream here. So 2020, it's been crazy, man. It's been crazy. The whole year's been crazy, but sports in general have been crazy. So I actually went to a preseason baseball game when COVID was just about, coming around to, whereas it was on the news every night. And it was like, it was about the end of February, I think it was. And, I remember we were sitting in the stands thinking, this lady sat next to my wife. She was coughing all the time. And we were like, oh my God, but that, we didn't have masks back then. We didn't have to wear them all the time or anything. So yeah, it's been a crazy year all the way around. Baseball. What a season.
Yeah. What a tainted season with
tainted season.
Asinine rules.
They basically morphed baseball. They put in all these different rules.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of these rule changes, whether we like them, whether we didn't like them.
Well, you already know my feelings before we talked ahead of time.
Well, the rest of the people don't, though.
Yeah.
So let's talk about them in general. Okay. So in general terms, with all of them combined, do you think it changed the outcome of the season at all?
I don't know if it changed the outcome, but it certainly was a different game because you had basically everybody's in one league. I mean, the universal DH just took that took the National League teams advantage away immediately from the American League teams. And then I believe they also expanded the rosters like 28 players or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so I guess, and also by not having the pitchers, they have to pitch more than 3 batters or 3 batters minimum. You don't have the in and out. So maybe the speed of the game went up a little bit. I didn't check any stats to see what the average game time was, but, and of course, not having the fans in the stands was a total bummer too. I mean, it's just totally. I mean, they piped in fake noise, but
yeah. I mean, that was
fake noise and cardboard cutouts doesn't quite make it.
Yeah. See, if I was pumping in noise, I would have piped in like trash can banging.
Yeah, there you go.
The Astros were in the.
Make the Astros feel at home. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, they've changed a bunch of rules, but I don't think it changed, like you said. Really good point. It changed how the game played, but I don't think it changed the results. I still think everyone played by the same rules. I do agree with you that the National League teams weren't planning on having a DH. So none of them had DH guys, quote unquote, guys on their team. So they had to kind of compensate for the new rule changes really quickly because it wasn't like, hey, next year we're going to the DH. So, everyone pick up a DH player if you want.
There were no David Ortizes in the National League that they
exactly. Right, exactly. So, I think that was, I'm like you. We are hashtag get rid of the DH and against it. And we're National League guys. We think it makes it more interesting to play baseball. But with that said, I kind of didn't mind it.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid.
I'm not sure I was drinking the Kool-Aid, but I didn't really mind that it was in the National League this year. Did you did it bug you?
Well, I mean, I didn't really notice it that much because I really wasn't. I mean, it took me a while to really start watching it because I was so unenamored with the whole thing. And then when they started playing games at neutral sites, like in the playoffs and stuff like that, it just really kind of took it away from me a little bit. But in general, if they come back next year for 162 games and we're past the COVID thing and all that, and they come up with DH for everybody, then it will affect me more, I think. I think this was the year to experiment with everything because it was so messed up. So yeah, go and experiment with all these rules. This is the year to do it and see what you think. But don't mess up.
Maybe that's why it didn't bug me so much because at the time it was, we're just going to try these things to see if we like them and how it plays and blah blah blah. So it wasn't like we don't have to, we're making the switch type thing.
Yeah.
So I was always thinking next year it's just going to be back to normal. Right. So maybe that's why it didn't bug me as much, but yeah. I mean, the DH didn't. One of the big rule that kind of bugged me, the pitcher rule didn't bug me. We'll talk about that.
Oh, the man on second rule bugged me.
Yeah, that's the rule I didn't like as much. Of all the rules I didn't like was the fact that you start with that runner on second in extra innings, and that just it seemed like it took all the fun out of it. There was no lead up. I mean, normally you have this lead up. Guy gets a single, then he's got to try to steal, right?
Or you bunt him over.
You took all that excitement out of it because it's like, oh yeah, we're starting in second, whether you like it or not.
Right. You got 3 guys with a chance with a hit.
Right. You got 3 guys. All they need to do is get a base.
I mean, now some of them may have bunted the guy to third and then try to get it. I mean, I have no idea, but.
I hate the DH. That being said, the National League needs it now because you don't want your $300 million pitcher twisting his ankle trying to run out a grounder. Brandon, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Viper Dave, RJL 518. Good to see you.
My answer to that is if you get them out there hitting all the time, they'll be used to run the bases and they won't twist their ankle.
Right.
That's my devil's advocate.
Right. I mean, there's always, there's.
I mean, I don't remember in the 60s and 70s, I don't remember a pitchers getting hurt and running the bases.
Right.
In fact, a lot of them were used for pinch runners.
Yeah.
They were athletes.
And there are some. I mean, look at Madison Bumgarner. He's a good hitter.
Max Scherzer's a good
pinch runner. Excellent. Even Wainwright on the Cardinals is pretty decent. Yeah. I mean, if you put a little bit of time and effort into it, you cannot suck, right?
Yeah.
What we all hate is when a pitcher goes up there and has 3 swings at balls that are 3 feet out of the zone anyways.
Yep.
Right? Which shows he's got zero time in the batter's box at all.
Right. It means he didn't even try to do anything.
Right.
Me and you could have been done just as well, basically.
Exactly. I mean, the pitchers close their eyes and just swing and hope and pray. Yeah. And that's what everyone hates is when they do that. Yeah. And you can tell the good pitchers when they step in, they have confidence, they have a good swing, they know what to swing at, when to swing, and all that. So,
and I think actually back in the 90s, I think they helped the Atlanta Braves quite a bit because all their pitchers could really hit. John Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox, they could all hit and bunt and move the run around. So I think they had a big advantage over the other teams in that era.
Yeah, because I mean they were playing the American League where their pitchers didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So their pitchers were over in the playoffs, and then you're going up against pitchers that get a pretty decent, a hit, 1 for 4.
They'll get a hit, they'll at least get the bunt down. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Fundamentally sound.
Exactly, because they're used to seeing it and stuff. So I really hope they, I hope if going forward next season, we get back to normalcy, full season, hopefully everything, gets fixed by then. And even if they got to start late, maybe start middle of April or end of April.
I mean, I don't think they need quite as much spring training. They could probably cut a week or so out of spring training. It wouldn't hurt them. Yeah.
So, I mean, full season would be nice. I did miss. It's kind of like, we only had 60 games. So it was almost like you took that first 3/4 of the season and set it aside, and then you just had that last sprint down to the wire. Yeah. And I kind of missed that first part because that's when the good teams build up, right? They get their lead, the 6-8 games in the season or whatever in their division, and you can see who the good teams are, and who to watch out for. It seemed like this season you had no idea because every team was up and down, and there was teams missing a week or 2 of baseball because they were off of COVID. And
we talk about the Cardinals missing so many games to start the season because they were so far behind on number of games played, and then they had to play all these 7-inning doubleheaders.
Not paying pitchers $300 million then. Oh, you'll still pay pitchers $300 million because that's what they're worth. Good pitchers are worth that. If they got to run a base, then they got to damn run a base.
Yeah.
Oh, we missed the All-Star game.
See, I don't miss the interleague play has ruined the All-Star game for me. I don't like interleague play. I like the separation of the leagues, and
I love
to
interleague.
me it ruins the All-Star game.
See, that's when I go to do my season replays, I always think about, I did the 92 Pirates, right?
Yeah.
And like the first month of the season, they only played like 3 different teams. It was like they played Montreal, then they went to Philadelphia, and then they went to Cleveland, and then they went back to Philadelphia, and then they played Montreal. And it was like, when do I get to see other teams? I'm sick of these same teams. Yeah, I like the interleague play. I think that brings.
I've never liked interleague play. I don't like it. I guess I'm just too much of a traditionalist. I don't know, but
no, that's probably it. So
I like the old days when you had separate umpires for each league. You had the American League umpires had the big bubble chest protector, and then the red jackets, and the National League guys had their navy jackets. And when we went to the World Series, you had American League umpire at home, National League umpire for it was just a separation of the leagues, and it was like a competition between the leagues. Each league was proud of, like, we're going to beat the National League, we're going to beat the American League, whatever the case may be.
And that is a great point up until you say the 2 leagues are playing by different rules, though.
Yeah.
So it's not a direct comparison between leagues. It's like if the National Football League, if the American League was doing one thing and the National League was playing by different rules, just to say in football, if one league had the 2-point conversion and the other league didn't have the 2-point conversion, it's like you're playing by different rules.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just fun discussion to talk about all this stuff, but I missed that first 3 months of the season.
I miss the traditional opening day when you're looking forward. It's like April 1st or March 31st, whatever date it is, and it still might be snowing where you are or whatever, but you get to turn on and see, they just left spring training, they're back at their home stadiums, and the bunting is out, all this extra. I mean, they may have done it this year, I don't know, but it's just not the same.
It was not as great this year as it was for other years. I mean, I was like I was excited. Oh, it's going to finally be back. I think it was like the end of July, right, when it came back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, it was like opening day, it's going to be great. And then it wasn't so great.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than not having baseball at all. But
well, true. I mean, that was the thing. It was like exciting and stuff, right? But I think it was definitely, the mid-July. It didn't feel like the start of the season. Even though it was the start of the season, it didn't feel like the start of the season because my body knew it wasn't the start of the season, right?
Yeah.
And it knew it was like it's already halfway over. It's more than halfway over.
It was like starting the season after the All-Star break in a regular type season.
Yeah, exactly. Which was kind of a bummer. So the season that played out, I think it was wow. There's some power.
Seeing the Miami Marlins and the San Diego Padres and the Toronto Blue Jays, all these different teams make the playoffs where your traditional powerhouses, some of them didn't make it.
Right.
In fact, Houston didn't even win the division.
Very interesting. There was some powerhouse teams that everyone knew, like day one. It was going to be the Braves, and it was going to be the Dodgers, and it was going to be the Yankees until they got hurt, and it was going to be the Astros. And those 4 teams were pretty much going to make it in the playoffs one way or the other. Mm-hmm. But the other teams, like coming out of the blue, I mean, the Marlins, oh my God, who would have – I mean, if –
they lost 100 games last year.
Seriously, if I would have said to you, David, it's July 1st, and I'm going to put $50 down on the Marlins to make the playoffs this year, what would you have told me?
I would have said go see a psychiatrist, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with what they had in their division, you got the Philadelphia Phillies, you have the Washington Nationals,
New York
and you have the New York Mets, and everyone was talking about those 3 teams plus the Braves.
Yep.
There was no way the Marlins were going to make anywhere. They weren't going to do it. There's no way.
They did.
And Toronto, I mean, who would have thought Toronto was going to make it in the playoffs over the Red Sox, who were, Not very good this year, but who thought
good.
the Red Sox were going to suck so bad?
Yeah.
Why?
Be like next year the Orioles making it or something, which never happened. But
speaking of the Orioles, holy crap, they actually had a pretty decent season.
Yeah, there you go.
At one point, they were like at 500 for a long time. I don't know how they actually ended. I don't remember right off the top of my head how they ended up at the end of the season. But I mean, they were not the laughing stock that they've been. Let's just put it that way. You know, that's kind of the. I mean, there's still some teams that were, you know, nobody had hopes for, and they weren't very. You know, they were like Kansas City. They weren't very good. Detroit wasn't very good. Pittsburgh, everyone kind of knew Pittsburgh wasn't going to be too good this year.
I think the Angels kind of let people down too, thinking that we get Rendon and full year of Shohei. And
exactly. I mean, that was supposed to be the up and coming team this year was going to be the Angels, and they didn't do anything. You know,
Texas in the
year,
new
Mike Trout
ballpark
was going to make it to the playoffs again.
Texas in the new ballpark was supposed to have a good year, and they didn't really do much.
There was a lot of surprise. I mean, San Diego.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
As good as the Dodgers are, right? As good as everyone knew the Dodgers was going to be, and not only that, but they get, you know, Mookie Betts this year.
Right.
Add to everything else. And everyone knew the Dodgers was going to, they're just going to blow that division away. They did not blow that division away.
Nope.
San Diego was in 162 games. They might have.
They got some talent. San Diego has talent.
You know? I'm a little worried. You know, being a Cardinals fan, that, you know, if it comes down to, you know, if they go back to 4 teams making the playoffs,
right,
with a wild card, and, you know, the Cardinals got to go face off against San Diego, I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
Even though San Diego took out my Cardinals, so.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. So Brandon Barker, it's kind of neat thing about seeing the older history maker replays, seeing all that old National League and American League names you remember. Yeah, that's true. RJL is going to go play some inside pitch. Mark Forsberg, Miami brought the fence in and made more of a hitter's park. Oh, didn't know that actually. I expect a bit more from the Reds. That was another disappointment team. Good call there, Brandon. It's probably still trying to score a run versus the Rays. Yeah, that was kind of, you play a 2-game series and don't even score a run. Wow, that's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. Yeah, I forgot the Reds are supposed to be. I mean, you know, what did the baseball channel and Siri, you know, on the Sirius, you know, every day on the way to work, I'd hear them, and they had April, May, June, and July to break down every single team 15 times. So I heard over and over again how the Reds were going to make a stride. They picked up a couple really good players this year. Their pitching was coming into their own, blah, 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 blah. So they had a lot of the prognosticators had the Reds as one of those teams that could show up, maybe get in the playoffs. They did not look good most of the season, and they barely snuck in the playoffs. And then when they did, they got waxed by the Braves.
By the Braves.
It did not look good for them. So biggest surprise for you for teams, either good or bad? I mean, do you have one that maybe stands out?
Miami's got to be the biggest surprise. I mean, I wouldn't even put them in the conversation because they several years in a row lost 100 games, and anytime they have a good player, they usually get rid of them, sell them off. So,
I mean, speaking of which, I mean, if I was to say to anyone, including myself, name a player on the Miami Marlins, could you even name one?
I could probably name a couple, but not too many. I think Garrett Cooper is one of them. I think.
Cooper, yeah, that name.
And Jason Alfaro from the Phillies that they got from the Phillies. I know him.
They got one of the Tampa Bay Rays players too. I'm trying to remember which one it was, and
I think Wei Yin Chen is still on the team, the pitcher. But
yeah,
And I'm assuming Natalie was still the manager. I don't remember.
He is, yeah.
He might get manager of the year,
He should be, right? Because, I mean, to beat out the Nationals,
maybe Derek Jeter knew what he was doing. I don't know.
We'll see, I guess. We'll see.
We'll see if they do it over a full 162 next year. That's the test.
So, speaking of which, 162 next year. Are we going to get it? Your gut impression?
Yeah, we'll get 162 next year.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, it might still be the way they're doing it now with the limited fans and stuff like that, but I think there'll be enough they'll probably have a vaccine of some sort by then. And at least for the, maybe not for the populace, but at least for the players, they'll have enough testing and like a bubble environment probably to get them all straight. So I'm
you're still predicting, things are going to spike here over the winter. And I don't know what that means, if things are going to get shut down again or whatever, but it's probably not going to be good. But
I think we'll get 162, but I think it might be pushed back a little bit, maybe about a month. They might push spring training back to early April.
Yeah,
and start the season either late April or
end of April to end of October.
Yeah, or they may, if they have to do it, they might do these double headers again with the 7 innings. Same day double headers, or back to back, not the day night, but the back to back. So
what did you think of that?
7 inning double headers.
The double headers, instead of 9 innings, go 7 innings.
Well, I mean, watching minor league baseball for so long, that's how they did it, and it didn't bother me. The minor leagues, the minor leagues do that all the time because they want to save on the pitching. They want to save the pitcher's arms. They don't want to have to burn 18 innings in one day. Yeah. But since the rosters were expanded to like 28 players or 27 players, whatever it was, they could have done. They were just doing it for time factors. I think because of the shortened season, they wanted to get as many games in as they could, so they figured the more doubleheaders they could do, the better. And they was do 7 innings because the game's official in 5 innings officially, right? Like if it's a rain out or whatever. So, and in most cases, through 7 innings, a lot of the time, some of those teams have big leads, and they probably just were glad to get it over with anyway. But, but it's another one of those things I had to get used to.
I actually.
It didn't bother me the way the other rules.
It didn't really bother me if it was 7 or 9.
Yeah.
It kind of, it made it shorter. But I think, that way you got both of them in pretty quickly. Yeah. You didn't have.
I like the fact they were back to back. They weren't at 1 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon and 1 at night. It wasn't
right. Exactly. You kind of had one and then there was like an hour break, and then they had the next game.
Right. Yeah. And
that was kind of cool because it was almost like a double header. You go to a movie theater and you're watching a double header.
Exactly. Traditional double header.
That was pretty good. I like that. Maybe that's why I didn't mind it at all. Yeah. And these extra 2 innings. I think it was fun having that because, like I said, there wasn't that huge break in there, and it kept things going pretty good. Playoffs this year. Biggest upset?
Biggest upset was probably Miami beating Chicago Cubs. That's the one that sticks out to me because Miami winning anything, even making it, was a surprise to me. But then to beat the so-called powerhouse Cubs.
Powerhouse Cubs, right? Yeah. That's what I heard all year. They were the powerhouse Cubs. Yeah. And the other thing I heard all year was that this might be their last go around because they have like 3 free agents coming up.
Right, Chris Bryant,
Anthony this year, and then 1 next year. Yeah. And they're not going to be able to re-sign them all because they're all going to want big money. And it was just the last hope for another 2016 repeat for the Cubs.
Yeah. I think the other big upset was Tampa over the Yankees. I don't think anybody thought Tampa was going to beat the Yankees.
Which was based upon the history of the teams, right?
Right.
I believe. Because if you look, who had the best record in the American League this year? The Tampa Bay Rays had the best record. Mm-hmm. So Normally, when you have a team with the best
names,
record,
the names,
right? It was the names. It was like, oh, the Yankees are playing this team that has hardly ever makes the playoffs. Oh, it's got to be the Yankees then, right? But when you look at records, right? And in fact, Tampa Bay against the Yankees this year was like 7-3, 6-3, and they beat the Yankees in New York 5 of the 6 times they played. I think
the Yankees in the final game had Garrett Cole going, so everybody said, "Oh, Garrett Cole's going to take care of it." And if I remember right, he didn't last more than about 4 or 5 innings. I mean, he didn't last very long. They were in the bullpen early.
Yeah. It was
and Chapman is pretty much washed up, and he's got dogged with a home run. So second year in a row, he's got dogged for a home run in the playoffs. So I think his time is pretty much done.
I think he's seen better days. I mean, he was more dominant, but there's just too many people now that throw 100.
Yeah, I mean, when he first came up with the Reds, he was almost a novelty throwing 100 miles an hour.
Because nobody else did it. Yeah,
so everybody's dialed up now, and he doesn't really have a secondary pitching go-to for consistency. So they just Zach Britton's actually a better relief pitcher than he is for the Yankees.
But the Yankees spent a bunch of money on him too to get him.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I guess you can afford it when you're the Yankees, I guess.
Well, they got some big name guys. They got to try to figure out who to keep. So they can't keep everybody, I don't think. So there's some guys they may have to let walk, like Gary Sanchez. I think there's a rumor that might have to walk. So maybe the Cardinals get Gary Sanchez. I don't know.
I don't know if we want him. I would not want to sign him. You know why?
He's not very good defensively. He's a liability.
He puts zero effort into the game.
Yeah, he's a DH.
He uses just raw talent. He puts no effort into it.
Yeah.
He got benched because he wasn't running plays out at one point, and it's like if you're not going to put any effort in. G-Puck is here. Hello, Mr. G-Puck. How you doing, buddy? G-Puck, good to hear you, my friend. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I'd want. He definitely has a good bat, and he's got a good eye at the plate.
I wouldn't want him catching if I was pitching.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's very reliable. And like I said, I wouldn't want him because he doesn't put any effort in. So, biggest surprise. I mean, Miami beating the Cubs, and like you said, probably in the American League. I was kind of thinking before the playoffs started, it was the Astros and the Minnesota Twins.
Right.
And I was kind of thinking Twins are going to knock them out in the first round.
Yeah.
Because the Twins
don't mix.
I don't know what it is with them. What is up with the Twins? Oh my God, they are
a regular season team.
They are so good in the regular season. They can hit a million home runs. Their pitching is excellent. Yeah. And then they get in the playoffs and it just
like the Bobby Cox Atlanta Braves teams in the 90s that win the division and blow up the playoffs.
Exactly. And you remember the Astros, I believe their record was 4 games below 500. I mean, they were a below 500 team, I think. If I'm not mistaken. Am I just talking
division? So
let's see. Season. Let's go to the seasons.
Yeah.
2020 American League. Let's see what their record was. The Astros. Yeah, they were below 500. 29-31.
Yeah.
2 games. I guess just 2 games. I was thinking 6 games.
To me, that's just wrong. No team under 500 should be in the playoffs. That's just wrong.
Hey, Wardrobe, what's going on, my friend? He's here. His old school Jester. Well, we got a special episode today. Special episode because it's been a while since we got to talk sports, and the Tampa Bay Rays don't make it in the World Series that often. So it's a special day here in Tampa. Yeah. Special day. Let's all pull out our Strat. There you go. We were just talking about Strat. If you want to watch some Strat, watch my good friend here, Baseball Demos. G-Puck got a great question. Why don't you answer that, David? What's your opinion on that? He thinks minor leagues will be impacted going forward, such as eliminating teams?
I think they're going to eliminate some of the lower leagues, like the maybe the rookie leagues and stuff, and maybe combine some things. I don't know if the Double A and Triple A is going to be affected quite as much, but I know it was weird not having minor league baseball this year, though. That was very, very strange.
So, what do you think? The guys that graduated last year and then we're going to go into the minor leagues this last season.
Nowhere to go.
So, yeah, where do they stand?
I think they probably had some kind of league in Florida, some instructional leagues they probably went to. There's winter ball this year, assuming COVID will allow it. There'll be winter ball.
Yeah, because I feel bad for those guys because, I mean, you stay in college, you want to complete it, you want to 4 years in, just to get as much experience and hone your skills as best you can. Then COVID comes, you graduate, and you're like out a job because there's no minor leagues this year. It's like, wait a minute, it's like it's. All the timing, it could have been the worst timing of all. If you were that person.
And minor leagues is the one thing where record is pretty much irrelevant. People go there for the fun of it and the enjoyment of it and the atmosphere. And if your team wins, great. If they don't, we'll still show up.
Right, exactly.
I know in Richmond, I mean, the Flying Squirrels drew tremendous, even though they were a second division team, they still drew tremendous crowds because people just wanted to be out at the ballpark.
Be at the ballpark and just hang out for the night.
Baseball is the one sport that's like 100% difference between TV and in person. I mean,
right?
Yeah,
I agree. I think it's more of just the. I mean, even my wife, who cares less about baseball, she knows nothing about it. She's the one suggesting to me, "Hey, let's go to a spring game."
She's probably more apt to go to the game than watch it on TV.
Right. I mean, she likes to go to the game, be involved, see all the people, hearing everything going on, and just being part of the whole spectacle. It's
in between innings, they always do something creative between innings, like a race.
Right. Exactly.
To involve the crowd, get them into it.
Right. Exactly.
Then you got the food and the drink and the atmosphere and just everything.
G-Puck, he's really like stressing us out here with these questions. Do you think current free agents at the end of the season will cash in, or are owners reluctant because no gate money this year and possibly some for next year?
Oh, I think free agents they'll draft, they'll get their money. People want to bad enough, they'll get their money.
I think the free agents will get their money as they always have.
The Yankees are
maybe not. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to push the envelope anymore. I think
the Bryce Harper days may be over. That kind of big contract for one person. So
right. I think
ask the Yankees about Giancarlo Stanton. See how they like that deal.
Yeah. Or Chapman.
Yeah. But Giancarlo, they just paid off the Yankees
over and over and over again. Players, you sign them for 2 or 3 years. Okay, we can handle that.
Yep.
You sign them for 6, 8, 10
10-year deal is not going to happen anymore.
I mean, do you think Mookie Betts in 2030 is going to be as good as he is in 2020?
No, you're paying at the back end to get his performance now. So
right.
What you could probably see is higher, what they call AAV or something like that, where they get paid more per season, but just less years. So they may make $200 million, but it's going to be over 6 years instead of 8 years.
Right.
So the average will be up, but the total value won't be so. Although I think Bryce Harper gets paid for who knows how many years.
Well, I think hopefully
Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid $1 million a year too.
I don't mind the players getting the money, but I just think the teams have to be smarter about the way they spend it.
Yeah.
Right. They have to be smarter and say.
And if you spend it all on one guy, a lot of money.
The Yankees are the team. There's like 2 or 3 teams out there that are like, oh, we want Garrett Cole, so we're going to pay him X amount of dollars for X amount of years because nobody else does it. Let's talk about this in 2 or 3 years when Garrett Cole is coming off an ACL and didn't even pitch for a year, and they've spent $30 million on him, and he comes back and he's not as good, and his fastball velocity is down, and they're all questioning what's wrong with Garrett Cole, right? And then always say is,
they they all the players they weren't able to sign because they put all the money into Garrett Cole.
Exactly. And that's how Tampa Bay makes a living, right? That's how they make a living is they
They're
find
basically
players.
moneyballing. They're moneyballing in late 2000, 2020, 2019. They're moneyball.
Right.
They're what the A's were 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Minnesota up until just a couple of years ago, they were nothing because they were the same way. We can't spend money because we're a small market team, blah, blah, blah. We got to find players that are diamonds in the rough. And they got to find like 20 of them all at the same time to make it good, make their team good.
That's right.
Because you can't have just one or two good players, because if you have one or two good players, what happens? You ship them out somewhere else because you can't keep them.
That's right.
So, I mean, baseball is unfair, to be honest. If you look at the big picture.
I mean, look at Mike Trout, best player in baseball. He hasn't even been to the playoffs yet.
Oh, he went once.
He went once, so it's been
a while ago. But they didn't even win a game. I think he hasn't played in a winning game yet. I believe. I think they went once though.
They may have went to a wild card or something.
I think they were. What season was that?
I don't think he's ever been to playoffs. You might want to double check me on that, but I just don't remember him being. I
will double check right now. Mike Trout.
I can check it up on mine too. I can check on Retro Sheet and see if he's if he has a postseason record. Because something tells me he's never made the playoffs. But maybe I know he hasn't made the World Series, but I'm thinking he never made the playoffs either. But I could be wrong. I'm very well could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
I'm not going to bet you any money on it that way.
Because I'm pretty much 2014 postseason batting. He was 3 of 15 at.
So they played the Royals that year, or
15 plate appearances, had 12 at bats, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 home run, 1 RBI. He was caught stealing once. He had 3 walks and 2 strikeouts.
And who did they play that year? Kansas City?
They play Kansas City, yes.
Okay. So they lost to the eventual AL champions.
Yep. 2014.
Yeah, they had to have been a wild card team that year, I would think.
It was the ALDS. They
actually won the division.
They were 0-3. Yes.
Yeah, they actually won the division. They were 98 and 64 that year. So that's 14, that's 6 years ago. So how the mighty have fallen. But they had Jared Weaver, C.J. Wilson, Garrett Richards. I mean, that's some good pitchers, which they don't have anymore. They tried to sign Matt Harvey, and I don't think that worked out too well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Spent all that money on Rendon too, so he had an okay year, but
I think owners, teams, whatever you want to call them, they have to be smarter with their money and not, pay a guy for 2 or 3 years or 4 years, maybe. The very maximum I would go is 5 years, and that's only with a younger player.
I would do that.
Baseball players, they mature about 23 to 28 is about their sweet spot. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Once you get over 30, you're kind of on the downhill slide.
Yeah. I mean,
unless you're a super athlete, like
there's always exceptions here and there. I mean, John Smoltz, he was good late in his career, but I'm not going to risk it. If I sign you to a 5-year deal and you're still good after 5 years, then I'll sign you again. But I'm not going to sign you.
The only good long-term contract I've seen in the last 10 years or so is Max Scherzer with the Nationals. They got their money's worth out of him.
That's true. Matt Scherzer was a good.
He's barely been hurt, and he produces every year. Since they got him, he's produced every single year. Now Strasburg's a different story. They made a mistake giving Strasburg all that money, I think. Just my opinion.
But I don't think it was that many years, though, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was only 5 or 6 years. I
knew losing Rendon would hurt them because that he was the protection for Juan Soto. So
here's the thing that I think, one of the things I just mentioned, why the Rays and the Twins and the Tigers and all these teams is is you can't have just one or two good players.
Yeah.
Because other teams can take those players out. Okay, we'll walk you.
Yeah, we'll pitch around you.
Pitch around you. We'll just walk you. Let the next guy come up. It's a ground ball. It's a double play. We're out of the inning. Done. You have to have good, solid team around. And when Mookie Betts left and now Rendon, what happened to those two teams?
Yeah.
They completely just fell apart because
they're both their orders. I mean, that's the heart of their orders. They're both number 3 hitters. I mean, they were heart of the order.
Exactly.
All Boston had was JD Martinez, and all the Nationals had was Soto.
Yeah.
And Carter Keyboom just wasn't ready.
No. I mean, he tried. I mean, you have to have. I mean, that's what makes the Dodgers that much better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Is they don't have like a couple weak spots where you can go, oh, walk this guy, go to the next guy. You go to the next guy, you're just about as much trouble.
Bellinger, you got Turner. I mean, there's 3 or 4 guys in there at least that can hurt you right away.
Right. You got Muncy, you got Bellinger, you got Seager, you got Betts. I mean, who are you going to walk? Who are you going to walk?
Yeah.
Who are you going to pitch around? You can't pitch around any of them.
The catchers, probably the Will Smith or Austin Barnes, probably the only weak hitters they have.
I mean, the Braves, it seemed like every time they'd have, before you knew it, in the beginning of the inning, the Dodgers would have a guy in first and second, and there'd be like either 1 out or no outs. And I'm like, you play with fire too much, you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
And sooner or later.
A couple of years ago when they won the World Series, they had such good hitters. They just wear the pitchers out because you go from one tough hitter to another tough hitter. They usually take it deep in the count. And next thing you know, you're through 3 innings, you're at 70 pitches, and your starter has to come out, and you're in the bullpen.
Right.
So
you have to have at least 4 good players in a row, right? Yeah. You have to have 4 good players in a row, and maybe your bottom of your lineup isn't great, but then it flops up, and then your 4 good hitters are up at the plate again, right?
You got to have good 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to have good 2, 3, 4, 5.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to have at least 4 good hitters in a row. You can't have a weakness in there. You can't have and one of the things that me and you have talked about a couple times, and it still drives me crazy, and I'm sure it still drives you crazy, is the defensive alignments now, the shifts they put on, and these hitters cannot hit the ball where the guy is not standing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, especially a left-hand hitter, you got the whole left side, whole third base side. The third baseman's over playing second base. The shortstop's almost behind second. You got the whole left side, and they still try to pull the ball.
I don't know how many times just watching the playoffs, the announcers didn't even say it's 0-2 count.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to hit it. They're not going to be able to pull it into the left-hand side. They're going to have to pull it, and every time they do, they try to hit it on the right-hand side. There's 5 defenders over there all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's how do these batters not be able to? I mean, it just drives me crazy. Absolutely drives me crazy that they can't do it.
Yeah.
I was a 21-year-old kid right now, and I was, kind of talented. I'd be going to the batting cage every day, practicing hitting the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because that would make me invaluable to a team out there.
I would practice switch hitting as well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's another thing. I mean, the amount of switch hitters in the game now, there isn't hardly any.
There's very few because usually one side or the other is so weak they just give up on it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I know for the Cardinals, Fowler's a switch hitter. I know he's a switch hitter, but there aren't that many switch hitters I can just name off the top of my head. I mean, Jackie Bradley's a left-hander. He's not a switch hitter. Jonathan Villar is a switch hitter.
I mean, there's still a few, but I mean, if you look at them, they're all been in the league 5 to 10 years. There's not like none of the new guys that are coming in are switch hitters. It doesn't seem to me like
Willie McGee's and Carlos Beltran's around anymore. That were definite switch hitters back in the day.
Hey, Gillis, what's going on? Springer Houston did take one opponent against the shift in the NLDS, which was sweet. ALDS, he says, yeah. I mean, occasionally they'll get one, but the players that can do it are hardly anybody anymore, and it just drives me crazy that
I know Chris Davis for the Orioles. Ever since they did the shift on him, he's never done anything. He's always still tried to pull the ball. He's still hitting 180 and striking out left and right. So
after he got too many players like that, I mean,
after he got paid a whole lot of money
by the Orioles, yeah,
which ruined their team because
that was another great signing in a long-term contract, wasn't it?
That's the reason they couldn't afford Manny Machado, because they already given the money to Chris Davis, and they couldn't afford any pitching because they gave all the money to Chris Davis.
Yeah, I mean, and you make one stupid move like that,
and
literally your team's down for 8 years, and then you got to rebuild it from scratch again.
Look at Texas Rangers. Look at Texas Rangers back in 2000. They signed A-Rod, and they were in last place, but they paid him all that money. Yeah. But they couldn't afford to sign anybody else because they were put all the money in him. So, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be, as an owner, you got to be committed. If you sign A-Rod, you got to sign 3 other guys too, and you're going to know it's going to hurt because, you got to open that pocketbook. You can't just, it goes back to you have to have at least 4 good guys, right? You have to have at least 4. You can't have one.
Because the Phillies do. I mean, they have JT Realmuto, they have Reese Hoskins, and they had McCutchen, and they had Harper. And they should have done better than what they did. I don't know. And
to be honest, good. This is a great point because
Girardi is their manager. I was like, what happened to him?
They had Joe Girardi as a manager.
And they picked up Didi Gregorius and free agent.
Didi Gregorius. Yeah. They didn't have as much pitching as I would have liked, but to be honest, if I was going to do a preview show in 2020, Philadelphia was going to make the playoffs for me.
Yeah, I mean,
I had high hopes of Philadelphia, and even though I hate Philadelphia,
I'm not a Philly fan.
I'm not a Phillies fan. Too many times they beat the Cardinals, so bad blood there. I don't like them for that reason, but I love Joe Girardi.
Yeah,
I think he's a great manager. I think he'll turn the Phillies around.
Yeah.
And I think in the long run, I think maybe next season they will make the playoffs. But going into this season, everyone was talking about Cincinnati, and I did not have hopes for the Brewers, and I did have hopes for. I thought the Brewers were going to be out and the Phillies were going to be in. Was going to be my two big choices in the National League this year. Yeah. I wouldn't have picked Miami.
No, not at all. San Diego, I kind of see that coming, I think, because they had some good young talent. But
I even hate to say it, but Machado, to me, if you go back a couple years ago when we did some live streams, I talked really bad about him being a cancer and everything. But to be honest, I don't know what's changed, but since he's been in San Diego.
Well, he got back to third base where he belonged. He wanted to play shortstop all this time, but they got a guy named Fernando Tatis Jr. that took shortstop.
Who?
Tatis. So
that's a player there, buddy.
Yeah,
that's absolutely a player.
Everybody was hyping Guerrero Jr., but I always thought Tatis was the better player anyway. So I don't know why they were hyping Guerrero Jr. so much. But
well, I'll tell you what. I watched Guerrero's first game in the major leagues, and he got a base hit in the top of the 9th inning, and they pulled him for a runner. Yeah. And I said at that point, if you're so great, you don't get pulled for a pinch runner.
No.
I said this guy's a joke.
Yeah, he's not exactly.
He's been a joke.
He's not exactly svelte.
He's a DH, is what he is.
Yeah, I think he plays third base. I think third base is supposed to be his position. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he is over there on third base, but
yeah, he's a first. He's
not overweight coming in, and he's going to get all this money. He's just going to be worse and worse. You know what? If I was Toronto, I'd be like, yes, he's the greatest thing ever. who wants to trade for him. That's what I would do.
Hype him up and get rid of him.
I would hype him up, make him the greatest thing ever, and then I would trade him because I think in 2 or 3 years he's just gonna he's going down.
Yeah, I think there are other young guys.
Everything about him. I mean,
I think there are other young guys, Bichette and Biggio, are going to be better prospects than what.
Absolutely. And I think like I was saying, Machado going out to San Diego. I don't know what happened, but his attitude changes. I remember
change of scenery. Sometimes change of scenery will do it. So.
Yeah.
maybe got better along with the
sure. French fielder right there, but not as good. Yeah,
got along better with the manager.
Voltron verse. Yes, you're right. I like that comment. That's good. Yeah, I just don't have hopes for him. I think Bichette and Biggio are. I think they're solid. I think they're really solid. We did have a lot of players opt out this season, which I was.
Yeah, I know David Price did for the Dodgers. I don't remember who else did, but I remember him.
Bumgarner did
specifically. Who did?
Bumgarner.
Oh, Bumgarner. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's a bunch, but I mean, big name.
I heard Arizona because that was their big signing in the Diamondbacks.
Right. Yeah.
The tubes,
And then have them go. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed because I mean.
I think you were just as safe. You were probably safer on the baseball field than you were in the public. The way they were doing testing and bubbling and all this other stuff. But I don't, they have their own reasons. So,
I mean, if you got health problems or someone in your family has health problems or you got a young kid or something, I think did Bumgarner's wife, wasn't she pregnant or just had a kid or something? I think that's why he opted. I mean, there was a bunch of them that did. There was a couple that actually opted out and then opted back in. I think the one.
I thought Markakis opted out at the beginning of the season for Atlanta.
Yeah.
He came back.
I think he came back. Yeah, I mean, if baseball says it's good enough to play, I think.
And they're constantly tested, so.
Right. I think. I mean, the Cardinals got it. And there was another team that got it before the Cardinals. It was.
I know the Marlins had some troubles with it.
Yeah, it was the Marlins. That's right. The Marlins had it. Their schedule was all goofy because they had to reschedule some with the Mets, a series, and then the Mets had to go play the Yankees, but then they couldn't play the Yankees, and it was a mess in the beginning. But I think hopefully nothing bad happened to any players this year. I didn't hear of anybody getting really sick and going to the hospital. And
I haven't heard anything like that. I mean, they say with this COVID thing, you could have, if you get it and get over it, you could still have lingering effects. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean,
I don't think they know either. I don't think science people know enough about it to know for sure either. So.
Total number of players that played this year, more or less than last year?
Total number of players?
Yeah.
I would assume it would be more because you had more players on the roster.
You had the expanded roster.
Games, but you had more on the roster.
You had more on the roster. So how are sports simmers companies going to handle it? Stratomatic only gives you 30 cards.
Yeah.
They only give you 30 So how are they going to handle it?
We won't turn this into.
You have like 48 players that played on a team.
Yeah, we won't turn this into a Stratomatic rant, though.
No, I was just thinking. I mean, that's going to be a little weird for a lot of these.
Yeah.
Not only for the cards and dice. I mean, these guys are going to have to reprogram their computer versions to match the rules.
And if you play it as played, and what if you're doing a Cardinals replay and you want to do as played, you're waiting, a week to a week and a half between game 4 and game 5 or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. There was, I think they were off for like
the Cardinal games.
Yeah. I think they were off for like 9 or 10 days there.
Yeah.
And then they had all those double headers to make up.
You have to program the guy on second base to start extra innings. You got to program the extra players on the roster, which shouldn't be that hard to do. You got to program DH for everybody, which shouldn't be that hard to do because that's a toggle to do that. But one thing Action PC Baseball did already with their 2020 is they already had the program about the reliever. You couldn't pull a reliever after one inning or one pitcher. I mean,
right. So I mean, you're going to program in the 3-batter minimum, right?
exactly. Yep.
Or that's kind of fallacy though, because the rule is, and a lot of people I don't think know this, is you have to face 3 batters
Or the end of an inning.
or an end of an inning comes in. So if there's 2 outs, I bring a left-hander to face the lefty.
Yep.
He gets the out. I don't need to bring him in anymore.
Right. And that's
a lot of people make this big ordeal about, he's got to make 3.
Use them correctly.
It is. They don't understand the rule. The rule is you have to face 3 batters or end of the inning.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why I don't have a problem with that rule, because there is that out.
Yeah.
There is that. And I think it brings a lot of strategy into the baseball.
When do you use that lefty specialist?
Right. When do you use them now? Because there's 2 outs in the inning. You might need them later where there may be more outs.
Usually might be 2 outs in the 6th, so save him for the 8th. Maybe 2 outs in the 6th is your best chance because he only has to face the 1 batter. Of course, if he doesn't get the guy out, then he's stuck in there for 2 more batters. So it's up to him to get the guy out.
Well, then that's the price. That's the thing you got to think about, and it makes good managers more valuable because they think about these things.
Yeah.
I think. What are they doing about rules in the playoffs changes? So we don't have the runner on second in extra innings, do we? Or do we?
I don't know if there's been an extra inning game in the playoffs. At least not that I've seen. There probably has, but I just haven't.
I just thought about that. I don't remember seeing one. And I'm thinking, what are the rules for the World Series this year?
I'm assuming it's the same rules we've been using now, because you're going to see the DH every game, and I imagine you will see a guy on second base.
You think so?
I think we will. If it goes extra innings, of course.
But. Well, let's talk, because we want to wrap up before 8 to give everyone a chance to get over there. And
8, right?
I'm sorry?
Rays and Dodgers at 8 o'clock, right?
Right. So that's why we're having this special. Well, even if we weren't having this special, it's always a good time to talk with you. You're one of, you've known this because I've talked about it many times. But David from Baseball Demos is the guy that got me into sports simming on YouTube. Up until David, I was doing lots of other things. I wasn't doing sports sims, but then I watched David and how he did things at Baseball Demos, and I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. If I can emulate what he does and as much, bring as much across and have as much fun as this guy's having, then this is going to be the best thing ever.
My cat is invading me here.
Uh-oh. He's getting attacked.
Getting attacked here, so. When she wants attention, she just wants attention.
I guess so. She must be a girl cat.
What's that?
She must be a girl cat.
She is a girl cat, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, because if she wants attention, she's going to get attention.
Exactly. And she's still over rubbing against my shoulder and everything. So we're doing what she needs to do. That's the infamous Tabby.
Yes, it is.
So if Al's watching later, there's Tabby for you, Al. Al always likes Tabby. So.
I like Tabby.
Yeah. When we used to have the Discord, that was a big thing in the Discord, was Tabby says hello. That's the inside joke that me and Al have.
There Tabby. You go. World Series. Mm-hmm. So let's go through the 3 most important parts. We got pitching, we got defense, and we got hitting. So let's go defense first. Who do you give the edge to and why?
Defensively, I give the edge to the Dodgers. I just think they have experience, and they've got Mookie Betts, which just added more to their outfield defense. And I just think they just have a better all-around defense. I'm not sold on Choi at first base for the Rays. I'm not sure how good he is about digging balls out of the dirt and whatnot, but I know if Bellinger plays at first base, he's a very good defensive first baseman. He can also play outfield, but I think he's better at first base. So I give a slight edge to the Dodgers. Although you could almost call it a push, but I'll give a slight edge to the Dodgers.
I would say, to be honest, now the
Rays,
only committed one error in the whole series against the Astros. I think they have a very solid defense, and I'm going to give, for me, I think I would give, maybe this is just my bias or whatever, I don't know, but I think the Rays actually have a better defense. I think in the long run, I think there's going to be more errors on the Dodgers than there would be on the Rays. Now, I could be wrong.
On that.
It doesn't happen but once a year. This could be my one time, but pitching
definitely advantage to the Rays, in my opinion.
And I agree. I think pitching
is better, and also I think Kevin Cash uses his bullpen better than Roberts uses the Dodgers bullpen. I'm not sure if Kenley Jansen, is he 100%? I mean, there were some questions about Kenley Jansen too for the Dodgers. So
I have not heard if he's not 100%. I'm assuming he is, but
he's had issues the last couple of years.
They were doing an article on the news about, or right before the news, on him standing there, and they were talking about it, but I didn't get a chance to hear what they said.
He's not the Kenley Jansen of 2 or 3 years ago. He's
correct.
To do some. So,
but I mean, from what I hear, and I'm not an insider or whatever, I think the guys were saying that the Dodgers' other closers just as good, or if not better.
He was like Mariano Rivera back in the day. I mean, when he came in, 2015, 16. When he came in the game, it was over.
It was over, yeah. Right.
Now it's like he comes in, we can get him.
Right. So yeah, I would give the Rays. Here's the thing. Let's say for some miracle, and we'll get into our predictions here in a minute, but let's say there's hypothetical, each team wins 3 games, go into game 7, and it's Clayton Kershaw and Charlie Morton. Advantage goes to
Charlie Morton, because Clayton Kershaw can't win a playoff game to save his life.
See, and I think
Charlie Morton.
I'm with you. I think if I was a betting man, game 7, Kershaw and Morton, I just saw what Morton did to the Astros.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
best days are behind him, and Morton's in his prime right now.
Yeah. I think Morton. It was interesting because on the way to work on Monday, yesterday or today, I can't remember. Yesterday, yeah. They were talking about, because the big weekend, game 7 for both teams, and they were talking about some players have it in the playoffs and other players don't have it. It's just, if you can't explain it, some players just get too nervous, get too tense, whatever happens, get psychological, they're trying to do too much or whatever. And other players just go in with the attitude of whatever happens, and that they let it all fly, and it works out great. And they were saying Charlie Morton seems like one of those guys that has it.
Big game players, or money players, they call them.
They were. I mean, a couple of the announcers like, anybody in the league right now, game 7, I want Charlie Morton pitching it for my team.
Very good.
So, I think advantage to the Braves. Hitting
the Dodgers, I think, have a definite advantage. Their lineup is stacked.
Yeah, and I would 100%.
Weak spots.
I think the Dodgers have too much. The Rays. I mean, as the Rays are hitting as a team are only batting like 227 or something. It's not good.
I think that having the DH actually helps the Dodgers, because now you can put a guy like Muncy, who may be a defensive liability. You got his bat in the lineup now.
Right. Okay. Well, that comes down to the big question. It will be the big question.
Yeah.
How many games is this World Series going?
I think it's going 6.
You think it's going 6?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to go 7. Now, the biggest question of all, which team is going to win?
Tampa Bay Rays.
Really?
As a pitching,
wow.
As their manager.
You think what?
Pitching and their manager.
Pitching and their manager, and you think they're going to take the Dodgers out in 6?
Dave Roberts can't win a big series, so there's a reason why they've gone 3 of the last 4 World Series and lost them, or 2 of the last 3 and lost them. There's a reason behind that.
I think
in 18, yeah, the Red Sox were blitzkrieg, so nobody's going to beat the Red Sox. But in 17, they were the better team than the Astros. But Dave Roberts just blew that game completely by starting Yu Darvish in Game 7 instead of Clayton Kershaw. That was just stupid.
Yeah. I think it's going 7 games. And unfortunately, I think the Dodgers have enough on their team to overcome their manager's dumb decisions. And I think they're going to pull it out in the 7th game. Even though I just talked about how Charlie Morton is going to outduel Clayton Kershaw in Game 7. I just talked about that. But I think Morton can only do one thing, and that's shut down their the Dodgers offense. I just don't think the Rays have enough bats to keep up with them. I really don't. I think this is the year the Dodgers finally break this streak and finally win the World Series. I was this close to picking the Rays, though. It was that close. I mean, I think the Rays are going to give them a lot more trouble than people predict. I just don't think they have as much. I think that the Dodgers have too much offense. But you convinced me before we started.
They can very well jump out 3-1 again, just like Atlanta did, and they can lose a couple games, but they won't blow game. They won't make it to a Game 7.
I really hope you're right, because I would love to see the Rays.
And I think they can manufacture enough runs that their pitching can hold up, and I think it'll be a low-scoring World Series myself.
I just think the Dodgers have too much experience. Tampa Bay, great team. Don't overlook them. I mean, I think there's a lot of people predicting the Dodgers in 4, Dodgers in 5, some people Dodgers in 6. I think the Rays are going to win a few. I think the Rays are going to take a 2-1 series lead. The Dodgers are going to come back and take a 3-2 series lead. Then the Tampa Bay is going to tie it up 3 games apiece, going to go to Game 7. And then, unfortunately, they're just going to run out.
Well, the team in the last 3 years that had the least experience won the World Series. And the Astros in the first World Series they ever had in 2017, they won it. Nationals first time 2019, they won it over the experienced Astros. So I think experience is overrated myself.
Well, I mean, yes, I think.
Give me a good starting pitcher over experience any day.
I think, yeah, I agree. I think, but without days off, which
there are days off. There are 2 days off. I've already checked the schedule.
Oh, there is 2 days off.
2 days off, yes.
So they're going to put those travel days in, even though they're not traveling.
Exactly. They're off days just to give people rest and they can reset their pitching, which helps the Rays because they can, with all those.
Yeah, but I hope. I just think
there's 28-man roster, so they're going to have 13, 14 pitchers on each team.
But we talked about this earlier. I think there's no one on the Dodgers you can say, oh, that's an easy out. Now they might suck and they might hit a lot of foul balls and ground outs and everything else. But I think eventually the Dodgers offense says, oh, hey, it's time to start doing something, just like they did against the Braves. The Braves had, if I was going to compare Tampa Bay's pitching to another team, I would probably give it to the Braves. Now, the Braves came this close to winning the series.
Probably should have. They blew it.
But I think the Braves have a much better offense than Tampa Bay.
Oh, they definitely have better offense, but not quite as good at pitching. Quite as good. When you can throw Morton and you can throw Snell and you can throw Glasnow out there, that's 3 very solid. I mean, those guys are like number ones on most any staff. They'd be number ones on a lot of staffs. So you got a lot of number. Whereas the Dodgers don't have Ryu anymore. He's in Toronto, so they got Walker Buehler, semi-washed up Clayton Kershaw, and Dustin May, and that's about the most I can think of on their team that's starters.
Yeah, I mean they gotta find someone. I mean, who knows? After tonight, Clayton Kershaw's back again. I don't know what's wrong with his back. Every other week, it's something.
His track record in the playoffs is not very good.
Sports Time Machine agrees with you, my friend. I have no confidence in Kershaw. What's going on, Sports Time Machine? Do you have a prediction? Anyone in the chat that wants to put their prediction? Now's your chance to be proven right or proven wrong forever and ever. Now is your chance.
One of us is going to be right and one of us is going to be wrong.
That's correct.
Although it could be half right. The Tampa could win in 7. That way you get the 7 games right and I get the Tampa right. So that could be a half win. Or the Dodgers win in 6.
I think one way or the other, I don't think it's going to be a 4-game sweep. I think both teams are really, really good. Yeah, I don't think a lot of the experts out there, the so-called baseball pronostics. We got one in. We got one in. Oh, Philip says the Rays in 6.
Yeah.
And Sports Time Machine says he's an American League fan. He's rooting for the Rays. Of course, he wants the American League team that knocked his favorite Yankees out of the playoffs.
Right.
Larry Harris says Larry's a smart guy. He's going with me. The Dodgers in 6. So Larry obviously knows what he's talking about. Or maybe he's just, copying from me. I don't know. But it should be good.
The reason I'm thinking Tampa is because it's 2020, and it's just the weird things happen in 2020.
So. That's right. I mean, when the Rays were up 3-0, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm saying to myself, it's 2020. If a team's going to come back and win in 4 games down 3-0, it's going to happen in 2020. I just know it's going to happen in 2020. I just know it's going to happen in 2020, and it came this close to happening in 2020.
Very close. Very close. I mean, it happened in 2004, but that was 2004. So.
Larry thinks I'm funny. And Philip Reynolds says, think they'll need to win at least 2 in a row to do it, Rays.
I mean, it'll go at least. I don't think any team's going to win either 4 or 5 games. I think it's going to go at least 6, no matter who wins. I think we get 6 games in regardless.
Yep.
I'd be shocked.
I think it's at least 6, possibly. Like I said, I think it's going to go 7. I think the Dodgers are going to be up 3-2. The Rays are going to pull one out, make it go 3-3, and then fall. Maybe in extra innings. I don't know yet. I'm still having debate.
I'll take Charlie Morton over Kershaw in a Game 7 any day.
Yeah, but I would take the Dodgers lineup over the Rays lineup in Game 7. I mean, you walk a Desarena, whatever the heck his name is. You walk him because he's the only one in the Rays that are doing anything right now. Just walk him every time he comes up. Just hold up 4 fingers, go to first.
The Rays have a former Cardinal too, don't they? Tommy Pham? Yeah. Or is he in San Diego? I'm trying to remember.
He's on. Oh wait, no, that's right. They did trade him. That's right. They did trade him.
I know I saw him in the playoffs. Couldn't remember which team.
I remember seeing him in the stupid.
They got Hunter Renfroe. They took Hunter Renfroe from San Diego.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? Bring that defense up, but we got no one that hits. Anyways, we're gonna had a great time talking with baseball demos. Been a long time. We need to do it again, my friend. Maybe
I finally got a camera where I'm not blurred out and I'm not.
I can hear you. You're not blurry. You're not like freezing every 2 seconds.
Exactly.
And let's see what Sports Time Machine would. If the Rays win, do the Rays fan come out in droves and save the franchise? Not.
That will never happen.
It's a typical Yankee hater. He's a hater. He's a Yankee. I mean, he's a Rays hater because he's a Yankee fan.
Yankee
yes, the Yankees beat down the Rays every year. They're your little brother, but once in a while, your little brother gets a punch in there that you don't expect. And you know what? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, all the Yankees are at home this year watching.
They are.
I think Aaron Judge is going to be tweeting during the game today.
Yep.
Instead of swinging his baseball. So take that. Great time, Damon. I appreciate your time and effort. As always, a pleasure to talk with you. I have nothing but the highest respect for you and your channel. You know that. And we can agree to disagree on several things, and we're still
we can do it civilly.
Have a civilized discussion.
That's right.
Which is awesome.
and good to see you once in a while do a sports game out of the blue when you're tired of doing the war games.
And I will continue doing them. And I missed it, and I miss all my people and just talking with y'all, just hanging out and having a good time talking and teasing one another and just checking in and on what you're doing and getting your thoughts on things, because I love to hear it all. Oh,
Yep.
we got one more before we leave.
Rays.
Joseph C says Rays in 7. There's a good man. There's a good man. I hope the Rays pull it out.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm damn well I'm rooting for him. Raise up, my friends. Raise up.
Rays,
All right, guys.
Rays the way to go.
We are going to end the broadcast. David, hang on just a second. I'll end this, and we'll see everyone later. Thanks for coming out, guys.